By sunrise, the town knew. How the news drifted from Yawari to Rabata through the moonless hours of night, people did not question. But early on Sunday morning, most of the townspeople donned their church clothes, and those without such attire wore their cleanest. Serpentine paths leading to the primary school, where the Americans held their church services, were crowded with those eager to hear if the story was true, that the reverend's translator had been set on fire in his village and survived. The whole town whispered about the fire, and there was nowhere one could go without hearing how the ropes around Zanya's hands miraculously loosened like the chains of Paul and Silas, the apostles the white reverend had preached about one Sunday. Imagine, people were saying, here in Rabata, they had their own miracle, their own story others would speak about for generations. Childlike excitement thrummed inside and outside the classroom. People squished into desks intended for children. Some perched on top of wooden slats or stood in narrow aisles waiting, their shoes, sandals, and bare feet striking the cement with impatient taps. Women sat on the veranda, their backs supported by columns, as they shushed and rocked pulling infants. Reverend Jim, who had come to Rabata before the war, paced in front of the congregants. "I'd like to welcome all of you here this morning," he began. His voice was grave, as if his pacing had allowed him to absorb a solemnity required for the occasion. He dabbed the perspiration on his forehead with a handkerchief he unfurled from the pocket of his suit, and the congregants felt pity for him and for his pale skin, which had erupted in small amoebic flares. His mane of gray was edged with wisps of white, and he surveyed the assembly with an expression of disbelief. 3 or 4 times the usual number, the crowd must have totaled close to 200, counting those outside straining to see in. "Some of us," he continued, adjusting the temple of his black-rimmed glasses, "might be tempted to doubt the veracity of the miracle. But let us recall the book of Daniel. Let us recall how God saved the lives of Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, 3 Hebrew men thrown into a fiery furnace. Did they burn? No, church. They did not burn as the flames raged around them. These men walked out unharmed.